Grammy Awards-winning singer Lisa Left Eye Lopes of the popular group TLC was killed in a car accident.
Oh, you want to fast right now? Somebody said you're
Yes,
fasting.
I am.
How long is the fast going to last?
40 days.
Did the Epstein files just expose who took Lisa Left Eye's life? Lisa's death had never sat right with a lot of people right from the jump, with some people claiming that she was taken out by industry higher-ups to cover up all the millions of dollars they stole from her. Lisa went from being in the biggest R&B group at the time to filing for bankruptcy, getting arrested, and literally running to Honduras to stay alive. In fact, just hours before her death, she recorded multiple videos and even did a whole funeral for herself, basically mourning herself before she actually died. Talk about a premonition. Now, as most of y'all know, Lisa lost her life to a fatal car crash on April 25, 2002, while she was in Honduras for a spiritual retreat. According to reports, the car she was driving plunged into a ravine as she was forced to swerve to avoid oncoming traffic. Although there were 7 other passengers in the car with her at the time, including her brother and sister, Lisa was conveniently the only one who died. There's actually an entire footage of Lisa and her friends in the car with her right before the car crashed, and it's honestly the saddest thing I've seen in my life. You could hear her screaming for her life as the car crashed into the bushes right by the side of the road. Apparently, she moved to Honduras and spent weeks in the jungle on a spiritual retreat, fasting, filming her documentary, and reflecting. Now, what makes this entire accident so shady wasn't just the fact that she was the only one that died, or that it just so happened when she was in a foreign country. Lisa actually spoke openly about feeling followed by a mysterious presence. More specifically, the spirit of death. She said she believed a spirit had chosen her. In fact, just days before her death, she had filmed the funeral of a young boy named Lopes, who had been hit by a car, only for her to also end up dying just like that. Lisa believed the spirit meant for him had mistaken her, and that it was just a matter of time before it snatched her up. And baby, she wasn't wrong.
I just thought I was gonna die.
I have premonitions.
Dreams. I think it's the energy.
These are the shoes that belong to the little boy. And his last name was Lopes.
He does even death. I believe in transformation.
We're almost there.
I do believe that there is an afterlife.
We all share the same space. So no matter what form you may be in, here or not here, you may be dust, we still share the same space.
Now, as I said, people have always had their suspicions about her death, and the recent Epstein files just made those allegations 10 times worse. You see, unlike what most people think, Lisa didn't have a very smooth life. Even though her career started very well, by the time she died, she had left TLC and decided to go solo, a decision that pissed off a lot of record executives because they wanted her under their control so they could keep milking her. But she wasn't having any of it. And don't even get me started on her extremely toxic relationship with the former Atlanta wide receiver Andre Rison. Now, even though Lisa and Andre both swore down that they loved each other, the way they treated each other was a whole different story. They were infamous for having very nasty arguments in public, sometimes even pulling weapons on each other. In fact, back in 1993, there was an incident between the two of them at a Kroger parking lot right after they left the club. According to reports, Andre was arrested for putting his hands on Lisa and then opening fire at a couple of men who tried to step in and help Lisa. The charges were later dropped, but Andre's family was still not feeling this relationship at all. Even his mother said she really wanted them to break up because she was afraid it would end with one of them dead. I was not happy. I really did not think the relationship should continue, Andre's mother told Lifetime. There was a lot of aggression, a lot of anger. I was afraid of things happening, and it looks like she wasn't wrong for thinking things were going to get worse, because things absolutely did get worse from this point. On June 8, 1994, Lisa did the craziest thing she had ever done up until that point, when she burned down their house after a heated argument. She set his sneakers on fire in the bathtub, and within just a few minutes, the entire house was engulfed in flames. The next day, she turned herself in to Atlanta authorities. She was charged with felony arson and released on $75,000 bail. She entered rehab for alcohol issues and received 5 years probation and a $10,000 fine. Now, even though Andre pretty much lost his house thanks to her, he forgave her, and they even made plans to get married after she got back from Honduras. But as y'all know, that never happened. But as I said, her relationship wasn't the only toxic thing she had to think about at the time. She had major beef with her label, too, and people are convinced they got rid of her after she left them. Now, just for a little bit of context as to how Lisa ended up on the industry's hit list, let's take it back to when she moved to Atlanta at just 19 to pursue music. Right when TLC released their debut album, they were already making it big. And even though this seemed great from the outside, it later became the very reason Lisa ran away from the industry and ended up dying a nasty death. In 1994, TLC released their second album, Crazy Sexy Cool. The album had several hits, including Creep and Waterfalls, which hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and sold 11 million copies in the United States. Crazy Sexy Cool made TLC the best-selling all-girl group in American history and earned the group 2 Grammy Awards. But despite selling millions of records, TLC hit financial hard times. Less than a year after the release of Crazy Sexy Cool, the group filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy in July 1995. Most of their debt was the result of having to reimburse the record label for the upfront costs of video shoots and recording sessions. In an interview, Lisa broke down how most of their money went out the door as soon as they earned it. And this had a lot of industry executives heated. In the record business, we pay all costs back to the record company, she said. You're left with $300,000. I can buy a nice house with that. And what am I going to pay my bills with? TLC released their third album, Fan Mail, in 1999, which included their hits No Scrubs and Unpretty. But while the group won a Best R&B Album Grammy for the project, they found themselves having creative differences, which led them to take a break to pursue other projects. Fast forward to January 2002. She signed a solo deal with Death Row Records and was prepared to record an album under the name NINA. But unfortunately, she died before that could happen. Now, when it comes to the Epstein files, it exposed a lot of shady deals that were happening behind the scenes, with names including Whitney Houston, Britney Spears, Michael Jackson, and allegedly even Left Eye. Allegedly, what they did to her is exactly what they did to Michael Jackson, except Michael's story goes way beyond industry executives just wanting a bigger cut of his money. They apparently also got rid of him because he wanted to protect the youngins that were being used and mistreated on that island, and they didn't like that very much. But it doesn't stop there. There were also a bunch of emails between Epstein and an associate called David Stern, in which they were discussing Jeffrey investing in the music business, specifically to have access to women who wanted to make it big. These were the same kind of men Lisa had to deal with every day of her life, up until she lost her life. This is so disturbing. And the fact that Lisa had to deal with this is so sad. And when it comes to the allegations that her death wasn't actually as accidental as it looked, it's safe to say that people want her case reopened and investigated for the actual truth. In the meantime, they had their thoughts like this person who said, "How come you never hear from anyone else that was in that car with her?" Another person said, "She had a spiritual awakening. Her intuition told her death was near. This is crazy. I never knew she thought a spirit was following her." But now I want to see your thoughts. What do you think about Lisa tragically losing her life after running away from the industry? And do you really think the receipts in the Epstein files leaked about her death are true? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other very messy video.